Hi, Anastasia. Thanks as always for joining and talking about movies that are available to screen at the internationalfilmseries.com. We've got a lot of great things available right now, and we wanted to catch you up on some of them. We're going to start with Zappa. This was directed, it's a documentary about Frank Zappa and the musician. It was directed by Alex Winter, who most people might remember as the actor who played Bill in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I'll always actually have a personal warm spot for him for co-directing a really great a comedy that came out in the early 90s. It was 1993, called Freaked. And if you like really cool, quirky comedies, highly recommend Freaked. But anyway, this is a documentary, and Alex Winter has actually done some other very serious documentaries, including one called Deep Web, which was about the online black market Silk Road and the trial of its creator. I think we screened that one at the International Film Series. This new documentary about Zappa, it's being credited as being the first all-access documentary on the life and times of Frank Zappa. It was supposed to premiere at South by Southwest. And it also it had like a Kickstarter campaign that helped fund it, and it was actually the highest funded documentary in crowdfunding history. It just had its release, thanks to the distributor Magnolia, last week, November 27th. But if you watch it from the International Film Series website, Magnolia splits the proceeds with us. And I just want to really quickly say that I it's hard to, I felt it in ways it only was able to, even though it's over 2 hours, it was only able to sort of touch the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the amazing work, the body of work in the times of Frank Zappa. But it's got a lot of fun footage, and it includes some footage from when he went before the senators for the parental guidance for the explicit lyrics thing. He was one of the good guys in that fight. He was there alongside Dee Snider and, yes, John Denver. So they were all fighting the good fight against the censors. And there's a little bit of that, and there's some other politics involved, some great music, and obviously he's a fascinating individual. So, but I kind of grew up with him. He's always been in my background. I got some of his albums. And so I'm going to toss the ball over to you, Anastasia. You're the younger generation. I don't know how familiar you were with Frank Zappa. So how did this all hit you? What was your take?
Yeah, I had heard Frank Zappa's name and maybe a couple of songs, but I really didn't know anything about it going in. And so this documentary was completely, everything was new to me. And when you say that it barely scratched the surface, I can only imagine, because it seemed to cover a fair amount in the documentary, but Frank Zappa just seems like he was somebody that was doing everything and was so involved in all these different aspects that just watching it all come together was amazing. And so I can only imagine what wasn't fully explored in there.
Well, and there was that inner title card toward the end that basically, just to sum it up, it said, Zappa released 62 albums in his lifetime, with 53 additional albums of Zappa's work being released since his death. So yeah, there's you could basically do a whole Netflix series on Zappa easily.
I'm sure. Yeah. So it was really cool to see all of that come together, and the different types of footage they used. You had the animation that I was very glad that it talked about where those animations came from, with the clay, and footage from home movies and different things. It just all came together really nicely. I enjoyed the editing and the pacing, and it was a very nice film to watch. And there's I think 11 minutes of extra footage at the end of the film that Magnolia also includes with.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, it's now I will admit the first six minutes was basically just a bunch of musicians mugging the camera. Don't let that dissuade you. Fast forward through that if you want to get right to the meat of it, because the last 5 minutes is a live concert performance footage of them doing Apostrophe, which has got an amazing bass line in it. It's just really killer. And a great song. I guess the last question I'll have for you regarding Zappa is, if you don't have any of Zappa's music right now, do you feel like you want to go out and get some?
Yeah, I feel like I will be listening to a lot of Zappa in the days coming up.
It's an acquired taste, so but and there's so many different. Well, as you saw from the documentary, he clearly went out of his way to make some very aggressive albums that were not meant to be crowd pleasers. But also the technical virtuosity of the work that he does. Again, a lot of emphasis on him as a composer, orchestrating the bands. That's a key element, I think, to understanding some of his style. Now, did you actually, when you saw something else off of the IFS website, I think?
Yes, another thing that is available right now is Divine Love. It's a Brazilian film that's set in 2027. So it's interesting in the kind of not very far future, but it feels like a completely different world. And that was a really interesting film to watch too. It has it deals with a largely religious background in the film. It's focused on a woman that is a marriage counselor, but does her work through a religious text. So it's set in kind of a dystopian place. It has kind of neon aesthetics that if you look at the poster, you can kind of tell. And it was really fun to watch. It has a lot of different things to meditate on as you watch it that can reflect on our current society. So that was fun, and I recommend.
And a bit racy too, I believe, is what you said, right?
Yeah, it was very much so. So maybe not the family, but
yeah, don't maybe watch it with the whole family. Right.
But it was a fun one.
Cool. Well, we'll keep it short right now, just because I gotta deal with some water heater issues, as I warned you before. And I look forward to discussing movies with you next week. And I want to just give a real quick plug for the fact that one of the movies that is available to watch is Another Round, which is a film that any IFS customers who remember seeing The Celebration when that came out, this is the latest film by that same director, and it's one of the films that I screened that was part of the lineup at the Toronto International Film Festival, and one of my favorites, up alongside Nomadland. So we got a lot of good things out there on the internationalfilmseries.com website. Check those out. And Anna, I'll be back in this space with you in a week.
All right. Thank you, and thank you all.
All right. Ciao.
Ciao.